Hi, welcome to this 5 minutes with me, EJ Wise, on how to make your cyber video conferencing currently in the pandemic, but into the future as well, more safe. So my background very briefly, I was a military lawyer for 21 years where I developed my cybersecurity skills, and I'm now a private practice lawyer in my own law firm called Wise Law. So very quickly, you've all adapted. Well done. And now how can we improve what we're doing via video to make it safe for our clients? There's a difference between doing what was absolutely necessary because the pandemic came, and now as we leach into a month on and 2 months on and 3 months on, there are some things that will not be acceptable for professional services, including law, including medical, including accounting. So we have a duty to the court that we keep our data confidential and that we discharge our duties competently. So if you don't know the tool that you're using, there's a problem. So I don't have time to teach you everything I know, and goodness knows it would bore you to death. But what I am going to do is just go through what's the reason I'm talking to you at all. And the reason I'm talking to you at all is because we need to be secure in our communications. The recent surge of activity by lawyers and their clients has led to an equally large surge in cybercrime. And that's not just targeting lawyers, but we're a nice target because we generally deal with money and data that's very confidential. What are security risks? So meeting bombing, it's a thing, it's called Zoom bombing. And if you haven't heard what it means, it's essentially an uninvited listener comes into your call, and that's generally more likely to happen if you've been sharing your Zoom details without it being specific to a meeting and without having a password and without having a waiting room. If you don't know what those are, these are not difficult to look up, but it's up to us to do it ourselves. Then we have malicious links in the chat. So someone slips into a conferencing setup that you have, whether it's 2 people or whether it's 20, and they are in the chat part of the conference tool and they throw a link in and everyone assumes that they're meant to be there. They all click on the link and they've all now been infected with malware. This is not good. Stolen meeting links. So some of the meeting links are worth money if they happen to have been listening to you long enough with the malware, for example, they infected your computer with. They know when some valuable meetings are, and those can go for sale on the dark web, and that's a really bad look for law firms. Data can be shared with third parties. So if they've managed to get the malware into your machine, they can look through your email, they can look through any of the data that you're storing in there. And just quickly, that's another reason to keep your work machine distinct from your personal uses where you can. Obviously COVID has affected things, but you can get very cheap tablets for your home wear and what you do at home, but to keep things distinct for your client work. And then there's been malware or zero-day attacks. Those have gone kind of through the roof since COVID-19. Cybercriminals act like opportunists and perhaps really good marketers. So they've been very active in creating new things, and phishing attacks and malware attacks and even ransomware have all gone up. And a lot of them will start with something like, learn this about COVID, or this is the Australian government, click on this link. If you want to know more about those, please go to the Australian cybersecurity.gov.au, acsc.gov.au, and they've got some good information in there. So security tips: always require a password for the type of tool that you're using for conferencing. Always verify that all the attendees who show either their face or just their name are actually people you wanted on that call. And if not, be brave and ask the question, just the same as you should for someone who is walking around your law firm and it's not someone you know. It matters because they've got access to what's going to be said in that discussion. Always check the meeting links. So some of the links look exactly like they should, and I'll use Zoom an example. So it might say Zoom and then ... and whatever else, but it's actually a piece of malicious software that once you click on that link, it's in your machine, and you need to have that cleaned out. Patching and updates. So more than ever, ensuring that you've got the latest version of whatever software you're using for video conferencing and you're not just relying on someone else to do that for you. In terms of reviewing your security settings, you should do that regularly anyway, as you should for patches for all of your and updates for all of your things, but especially for the video conferencing software that you're using. And I'd also just throw in about physical security. So where are you doing your conferencing? Does anyone that can hear you, doesn't need to hear you? Would it be better to wear headphones? Would it be better to have a microphone and having it in an area that you know is safe and free from other people who don't need to hear it, even if they have no malicious intent, like your family? And always bearing in mind as well that you owe the duty to the client and you owe the duty to the court, and only you can discharge it. So if you're unsure, ask the question, and I'm happy to answer the question. I'm not charging for 15 minutes of just basic question answering. So if you're concerned and you don't know, we're still open. 0390709898. Which conferencing tool do I use? I don't want to call out one or the other against each other. I dislike Zoom. I have for years. It's not because of COVID, because it's just a number of continuing vulnerabilities that I'm not comfortable with. So my preference is either FaceTime if you have people on iPhones and Macs, or MS Teams, or I also use an open source end-to-end encrypted video conferencing tool called Jitsi, Jitsi. For more tips, please either go to acsc.gov.au, go to my website, which is wiselaw.gov.com.au, and be safe for you and your clients and for your business.